Hello, it's Danny Gamble. It's April 1st, 2024, which is April Fool's Day, and my youngest daughter's birthday. Yeah, she's my youngest child. And she's 35 today, so you can tell I'm a little bit older, aren't I? Actually, my other two, one will be hitting 38 this year, and one will be hitting the 40s. My son will be hitting 40 this year. So, yeah, yeah, I'm feeling old. And of course, I have the five grandchildren, although I kind of have step grandchildren too. Even the fifth of the five I talk about all the time. The little boy was actually, I'm his grandfather, but not by blood. The other four I'm by blood. He was his My son's wife was married before and had a baby boy with her first marriage. So, anyways, and then I have three common laws exes, and some of them have had a lot of children. And actually, I don't even know where it's at now because by now the other two girls could have had more children. Unfortunately, the little boy that I helped raise, sadly, he's passed away. Um, so yeah, I don't know how many extended grandchildren I have, but I think Jessica had already had four, I think, so herself. And then there's Becky and Angie, both could by now have children as well. And Jessica might have had more, I don't know. So, yeah, life, eh? You never know where your seed will end up. I know I'm a goofball. As usual, I'll do this one and just one off. So it's April Fool's Day. It's the first of the month, and I was just watching some of those YouTube videos to do with what's going on in the world, and I decided I may have touched on it in some of my other videos, but there was a really good video I saw today, and see if I can find the lady's name. I'm going to probably pronounce it wrong because it was just said kind of unfortunately very quickly, and unlike some YouTube videos that shows you can pause it and find the words of the name of the person that's talking. This one didn't have that for whatever reason. It was the weekend show with hang on a second here, Anthony Davis show that was, I think, shot today or maybe yesterday. They're always 1 or 2 days away. And the lady he was interviewing was a Terry McGowan. McGowan. I'm not sure because it was just said really quickly. Anyways, Tara McGowan on Anthony Davis show, and I really enjoyed it. Like, it was a long one, so usually you'll click off those, and I would have too. But the conversation was wonderful. It's very young, informed, articulate person, and spoke well, and had lots of strong viewpoints, and many of them, many of them, I personally, thought they were in the right direction, if not the right direction. But everyone sees stuff differently. I always talk about percentages because you'll never get 100% of people agreeing on anything in life. Hopefully, when there's something that matters to you, hopefully you fall in that 80%, 90% group where you can kind of feel like, yeah, I think I'm on the right line on this one. But it doesn't mean that sometimes you shouldn't be that 10, 20% saying, hang on, I still think you're all getting this wrong. And maybe you've got it wrong. Fair enough. If 8 out of 10 have it another way, maybe they got a better viewpoint than you. But maybe every once in a while that over the fence, no, I think you should see it this way or think of it this way, might be correct too. So I'm going to dive into I'm going to try to keep it a little shorter because I know I really dragged mine out a long time. Um, I'm going to touch on something that just kind of nags at me. And like I said, I know I touched on it. I don't know I touched on it. I'm pretty positive I've touched on it before because it's been in my brain, and I do these things. I just do them. So they have a lot of rambling. Which, if you ever want to cut out parts and redo something to post forward, go ahead, but always make sure that you get the whole nucleus of that subject. So say I start saying something and I realize that that isn't actually how I intended. I might go, you know what, I don't think that came out quite right. This is, let me clarify, this is exactly what I meant. You need to have that part in there too, and then exactly what I meant. If you just do the first part, I mean, yes, it might go the way you wanted it to go and make me look, but it's not really fair. And of course, the full tape is out there, so it's just a matter of time when it's like, no, you're taking it out of context. It looks like you did it on purpose. It blows your credibility, but it also blows mine, because a lot of people don't go to find out the full viewpoint. My viewpoint still might be wrong. I'm wrong lots in life. That's why I have so many exes. But the fact is that I still want to be perceived for what I intended, right or wrong, whether I was in that 20% or 80% bracket on that particular topic. So, I'll stand by what I say, but make sure that you do, if I've qualified it or I've clarified it, then that actually should be the main focal point. It should be actually the clarification of, here's the clarity on what I mean. And then, if you want to hang me because you don't agree with it, and most people don't on a particular subject, then I have to eat it, because, apparently I was wrong. And again, we're all wrong at times, and I know I'm wrong often. So, getting to it, or 6 minutes in, I haven't got to it yet. So often I hear justifications of things that Mr. Trump does down in your states there, where it says, oh, that can't be true. I mean, Trump's a germaphobe. It can't be true. And I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, germaphobe doesn't like any kinds of germs or anything that's kind of icky, right? Like, it's like, oh, that might be icky, a mosquito bite or whatever it is. So if you're a germaphobe, then there's certain things you'd probably shy away from. Not shy away from, you'd run from. So nothing against people that do stuff for their living. So the Daniels lady that was, I don't know if she's ex or she's still a porn star, but she was a porn star. And Trump, when his wife was home with the newborn, had a little stint with Daniels. And I'm thinking to myself, come on, germaphobe and porn star don't mix. And that's nothing to say that she's dirty or got any problems or any diseases. I'm not saying that. So please don't go that route here. Clarified, don't go that route. But I'm just saying, if you were a paranoid person, you probably wouldn't put yourself in a situation where there could be potentially a problem. Because if her job is sleeping with men and women and, on camera and stuff, there's interactions going on, and there's a chance that she might catch something from one of these people, whether they were tested and it shouldn't have been there, but the test was maybe yesterday and something happened that night, or maybe it takes a few days for something to show up, so they cleared the protocols, but then actually had something anyways. So it just feels like probably not. So, like germaphobe, I think they're trying to excuse him from, he would never be with her, he's a germaphobe. No, I think he would, which means he's probably not a germaphobe, but it suits him to say he is. And the other one would be the thing to do with in Russia, Putin having a tape on him, which is probably part of his blackmail, along with giving him money. And you don't not pay back someone like Putin. If he's giving you money, he owns you. So I think that's part of Trump's problem, is that's why he's so supportive of him and against things like Ukraine and stuff. And it's like, well, he's a dictator. I kind of like dictators. I want to be one. And you don't want to cross a guy like Putin, because what would happen if you cross a guy like Putin? Well, it's already been proven all around the world. He'll go. He doesn't matter if you're in England or wherever. He's going to come after you. Through his often what do you call that, nuclear substance. Like he poisons people and exposes them to contamination stuff that'll rot their body. So it's an actual gruesome death. So I mean, Trump, he's an idiot, but he's not. He's a self-preserver, so he's not gonna piss off someone that he knows will basically take him out if he doesn't either pay him back or do what he says now that he owns him. Now that he's taken money from him, he can say, "You owe me a favor or two." So that's sad. It's sad for America. It's sad for us. I'm in Canada, and it's sad for us that we might have a guy get back in power in the States that's kind of owned and wants to be aggressive around the world like Putin does. He's looking at Canada, he's looking at Mexico and South America. Putin's looking at Europe, and China's looking at Asia, right? So you put those three together, and people supporting him, thinking, oh, they're for the good of all of us, but they're not. They're good for the good of themselves, and they don't need all of us. They only need the ones that support them, and the rest actually are a detriment to them. As Putin's finding out right now, because some of the people in this country are trying to rise up because they don't like what's going on. There's too many lives being lost in this war, and and they're starting to realize. Actually, I got to remind me. I remind myself. Remind me to talk about the Nazi situation with Putin and Ukraine, and then yet Trump and his infatuation with it. There's something wrong there too. It doesn't add up. So you can tell it really comes down to money and power. So Trump had. There's a reported more than once, and even Trump is on tape talking around about a P tape in where he was you don't call them by the W name anymore. They're called I'm not sure. It's a form of prostitution, but it has a more polite name to it now. And so anyways, he's in Russia, and apparently getting urinated on. And of course, this is floating around, and he's at first denying, like he does everything, but then he starts talking about, well, there might be a tape out there, but it hasn't been released. Well, there's another thing Putin probably is holding on him. It's like, if you really piss me off, this is getting out there. So, but back to the germaphobe. What germaphobe allows a lady of the night to piss all over him? like I'm going to talk right now to the two extremes in America. Okay, let's talk about, actually, almost three extremes. All right, so you got like your KKK, and bikers and Hells Angels, and you got a real rowdy extreme right group. You've got also another right group, but they're not up over here. They're down over here, and they're like the religious. We're all about religion and Christianity, and our beliefs are more important than other people's beliefs in our country. But over on the left, you got people that are like so benign, so fragile, benign. They're just like everything for everybody, and blah 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 blah. But they don't actually back it up, other than with words. They don't actually support it. So these guys kind of dominate them in strength and power, and that seems to be part of the problem in their country. All right, so I'm going to talk to both those groups for a minute, and I'll say, when it comes to things like well, right now there's a court, many court cases going on with Trump, but there's one going on right now that just in the last few days has been discussing about one of the judges' daughters being brought in by Trump and by his lawyers, which is really disgusting. I know lawyers in the States are like car salesmen here, right? And car salesmen down there. But like, secondhand car salesmen. They have a really bad rep for just saying and doing whatever just to, make a sale. But they got these lawyers now that are just anything to please their client. I mean, yes, you're supposed to be supporting your client, but not to the point of breaking laws or allowing laws to be broken and advising it that way. And right now you're doing that. Like, what are you doing? Like, that's disgusting. Like, history will judge you. I get it. You might make a few dollars here or there, although many Trump's lawyers end up getting fired. They're gone. They don't last. So, I mean, that's a dumb move, if you really look at what's going on in the situation. So, anyways, So I'm thinking to myself, well, what can connect these far lefts and far rights? There's a major. I don't care if you wear a white magician's hat and white sheets. I don't care if you drive a bike and have tattoos all over your bodies and and go to Sturgeon's every year. I don't care, but I don't care if you think. I don't care if you think that you're super religious and you're above all this and people should follow your ways because your ways are the right ways. I don't care if you think that, well, we should all just get along and kumbaya and like let's just let's just let them do what they're doing over there because they'll see the light, but they don't see the light, and you don't stand up to them, so therefore they get away with more and more. So your apathy and showing of lack of spine at times to stand up and say, hey, look, I really don't want to be doing this. I don't want to be getting in your face. But at the same token, I have wives and daughters and grandmothers, and I'm going to stand up and defend them. I'm going to. That is a reason for me to say no. Enough is enough. Um, so all those groups, Trump is attacking a judge's daughter. Again, all you groups, your daughter, your wife, your mom, your grandma, like I don't think any of those groups, I think they would actually unite on this one and say, fuck you, family's sacred, family's out of it. They had nothing to do with this. Keep the family out of this. Because there are, there has to be, there has to be a line in the sand where, and again, you'll never get 100% because there's always crazies out there that just want chaos. Chaos, and chaos is caused by all the bullshit never being solved properly or dealt with fairly. So they say, fuck it, might as well be chaos. And they have a slight point there, which sucks. But they have a slight point there that the greed of the world and the power of the world and the lawyers or the judges of the world and the dictators of the world, they've gotten away with so much for so long. You just keep looking around and they're having a great life. They got the pools and the girls and the cars and the yachts, and we're all living in poverty and wondering if we can make our next month's rent. Oh, we can't. We're in a tent now on the street. So there is a reason for them to just say, you guys haven't you've taken our tax money for millions of people for millions for thousands of years now, and you just put it in your pockets and then pretended to support, but even then you only supported the ones that really supported you to keep them voting for you or whatever it was in whichever country you're in. So I actually think what I just said there about the group and attacking the child can bring people together. Nobody wants to see their daughters, their mums, their wives, their grandmothers. They don't want to see them abused. Nobody. So I think that's a line crosser, and I think I think that that's one of the ones that could actually bring some sanity, some cohesion to the problem down in the States. Donald Trump is not, um, what's the beginning of this to do with, like catching diseases and stuff. Like he's not that way. I mean, he sleeps with prostitutes. He lets himself get pissed on. There isn't a less germophobic guy than that. Like I'm not a germaphobe, but that both those things would bother me. Except for a girl that I knew was working in the industry of form of prostitution. Making movies and stuff. I'm going to the I'm going to the clinic and getting checked out. I'm gonna be like, what did I do? How did I do that? What the was with me? I'm gonna go get checked out, right? As some girl from a foreign country pissing all over me. Again, I'm heading for a shower and I'm heading to a clinic the next day. Like that's not a germaphobe. It's not that. So in that regards, and and with the little other one of attacking people's children. Come on, guys. Like, cool, be a biker. Cool, be well, I don't think it's cool to be a KKK guy, but like, don't harm anyone. But how do you justify supporting somebody that basically, he's just like, I can't believe I get sneakers. Give me money for my sneakers. Let's do Bible. Did I hold it up right this time? Okay, let's do a Bible. He gets interviewed. Are you of the old Bible or the New Testament? And kind of like them both equally. Like, you can see the guys trying to spoon feed him and help him out, going like they couldn't help but look like, oh fuck, like he obviously hasn't read them, and I mean, how can you not know which one you like over one? Or, give us a favorite passage. Oh no, it's very private, and I don't. Well, yeah, but you must have, like, something that you. Oh no, it's very private, and then I think 2 days or 3 days later he's being interviewed. He talks about this one, and he says that's the whole ball of wax. It was the whole ball of wax 2 or 3 days later when he finally read it. Someone said read this one, and in the future say this is your baby. This is the passage you like. Well, the whole ball of wax wasn't the whole ball of wax 2 days before that. He's just he's shamefully not real. And if you want to be a right winger, at least get a real right winger representing you, somebody that you can actually look at and go, yeah, that's our guy, because your guy right now isn't your guy. He just wants your money and stay out of jail and not have Putin kill him for having loaned him money and now screwed up. And then I'll say to the Democrats, I mean, I'm on an earlier tape. I don't know if it was this year, last year, but I'm on a tape saying that I love Biden and all that, but I think I do think that he should be moving along to retirement, and it's not just for the fact that he couldn't maybe force his way through the next 4 years and do okay for the country still, because he actually did really good for the country, even though the country doesn't seem to know it. But and I'm talking about with the economy and your recovery from COVID and all that. I mean, you guys have done better than all the other G7s and pretty much anywhere in the world. You guys have done well in comparison. So when the right goes, it used to be better. No. When Trump was in there, you had people dying and everything was closed and you had chaos, right? But even so, like, he's done a good job. Like, he's actually done a good job. But you know what, Mr. Biden, you're an older gentleman who's got only a few X amount of years left, and you've worked hard and you've given lots. Now I get it, you want to get in there because you can beat Trump probably, and hopefully for the sake of the world. But Trump shouldn't be allowed to run for what he's done. Your courts are scaredy cats. They won't do what they need to do, or they're bought off. And your Supreme Court is considered a joke around the whole world. It's your number one court. It's a joke. And then your laws are a joke. I mean, you have one set of courts comes through a ruling of X amount of dollars that Trump has to pay, and then another court gets to override that court based on nothing because they didn't have to prove why they did it. They just simply reduced it. Like, the fix is so in. You got all this country of yours where some votes are worth more than others. And everyone says to me when I say that, that's not true. Well, but it is true. Because you got 7 states or so that have this college thing, whatever. It's a bullshit, bogus thing that the white boys put together, that the white men put together to make sure that they can maintain control of the country or get their party in. Like, it should just be a total of votes. Everyone should matter. But some little states get to have a huger say than millions of people say that in California. I mean, California being just a hugely populated place, big place, and so therefore when you vote there, you're getting like a half a vote or a quarter vote in what it's going to do versus someone that gets like 2-3 votes for their one vote in some small Midwestern state. So you guys have you've allowed the game to be rigged, um, and everyone sees that, and everyone goes, "Oh my God!" It's not only that you guys are heading in a terrible direction if Trump gets back in, and we might have to worry about our borders in Canada, and Mexico might have to worry, but it's also that it's a minority. We recognize that most of your people, the majority of your people, want the world to go in a capitalistic, fine, but in a respectful manner for other countries and borders and boundaries and trade. And a minority of yours is getting to possibly turn the whole world upside down because your systems have been allowed to over the years be rigged. And that goes back to Democrats being passive and they'll do the right thing bullshit. So they just slowly allowed the slide rule, right? They just slowly allowed the right to slide things more their way and squeeze and squeeze and squeeze the Democrats. And then all of a sudden they pop their head, but that's not fair. Well, that's not going to help when they have all the judges in place and all the legislators, and they have a bunch of corrupt people in the Congress and the Senate. That's not going to do it. And they're willing to cheat an election. And then when you go to cheat an election, the Supreme Court supports that. Oh well, it's not Oh well, the Constitution. Well, your Constitution says that you can't run again. Oh well, we don't want to interfere on that one. We'll interfere for right to carry arms, or right for some judge in Texas to just try to get a whole federal ban on abortion. We'll allow that. We don't want to interfere with the states until we want to interfere with the states when it's we'll jump in there when it's Nixon, but we won't jump in there when it's Trump. And it's like you guys are a joke. Yeah. Who's this Canadian saying we're a joke? It's not me. It's you guys saying you're a joke. Your system's saying it's a joke. Your majority of people are still in your Democrats. They win by 7 million votes. That's quite a few votes, right? But they're too passive. They're as you'll see in my other videos. I do the Charlie Brown, Lucy. They're Charlie Brown. They just keep wanting to believe that Lucy's going to hold the football, and Lucy just keeps saying, "I'll hold the football," and then pulls it away. And that's exactly what happened in your Supreme Courts when the guy from the Senate, the old guy with who looks like the turtleneck. His name will come to me. But anyways, when he, you can't 8-9 months before an election, you can't, put in a Supreme Court judge. You gotta let's let the next leader decide. Let's wait until the election. And then of course with Comey Barrett, it was like a month before. Oh no, I don't see it that way now. I mean, that was then. Because it would have been it would have been Obama electing one. But now it's Trump, so now, no, let's get this through. Let's get this through before the election. And of course, that second election he lost, so yeah, that Comey Barrett wouldn't have made it, right? It would have been, and that would have been better because right now it's 6-3, that would have made it 5-4, which then it only takes one person from either party to kind of say, you know what, let's go with the rule of law on this one. And so there would be occasional times when the right decision would be made. Isn't that sad? Occasionally the right decision would be made, not the political decision. And that's basically what's happening these days in your Supreme Courts and your other courts. It's who's been put in power. And that's another dumb thing. Why are politicians, parties, putting such key people into key positions? These are judges. They went to school. They served in the lower courts, and they worked their way up and built their reputations. And then based on hopefully, it's what it should be, based on how they handled cases. That's how they should be judged. And then they should be judged by their other peers, and they should look around and go, Susie over here or Joe over here, they've done great jobs for years. Let's all cast a vote, and look, those two did win because they were the better ones, regardless of what party they're with. Hopefully they don't even know what party they're with, because Maybe they shouldn't be declaring their parties. Maybe they should go ahead and vote, of course, but maybe that should just be like become a judge. It's, I mean, people might know from your history, but still, it's like that should be removed. It should be like the most qualified, experienced, talented people get to your top and makes decisions based on the rule of law, not the rule of a party that put them in power, so therefore they owe it to them. And then the other thing, of course, is that whenever there's even the slightest bit of corruption where they're being bought off by these billionaires, or their wives are involved in, political takeovers, they're not only excused, they're probably suspended and then maybe replaced. Like, they need to stay above the bullshit, you know. Um, yeah. Okay, so my quick one is still 30 minutes. All the best to everyone, and keep plugging along. And Donald Trump equals germaphobe ? I would say no question mark. He's not a germaphobe. He's using that as one of his aliases to cover up the corrupt sickle that he actually is. Well, yeah, I didn't even say it. And his buddy for years, for 15 years, on tape by him, a buddy for years was Epstein. Need I say more? I mean, we're talking about a guy. His okay, I actually do have two things here. Epstein, of course, ridiculous. If that's your friend for that many years, and you even were caught on tape saying, well, he likes him really young, you know what's going on. So you're a disgusting pig accepting that guy as your friend. So probably you've crossed the line once or twice yourself, tried it out kind of thing. Maybe it wasn't for you. Maybe you liked older women, but still, it's sick that you knew that was going on and you just, oh, well, people are happy with that. I don't care who's involved. I don't care. And there are people from the other side involved too that have been, going to that island and stuff. And then his wife, his latest wife, Melania, she was brought over by a guy that took Eastern, beautiful woman. She's a beautiful woman, and brought him to parties. So men like Trump could, have the flavor of the day, and then this guy who brought him over could have control, and obviously get paid money for bringing him, and then also have a bit of sneaky control through them of the guys that they managed to land, and Trump was landed by her. And and you might say, oh, what are you talking about? Well, do a little research anywhere. It's everywhere. But every 6 months, year, she's renewing her contract with him, her alimony contract. Like if they were to break up, her contract with him, as to what she would get. She's always adjusting it up. Because if she's going to stick around, she just keeps saying, you want me to stick around, you want to be president, you need to have Christianity, you need to have a way, so I'm going to put the thumbs to you, right? I'm going to, that's it. I want more. And I wouldn't be surprised. I'd be actually almost not, the other side of surprised. I would be surprised it wasn't happening. To me, there's something there with Putin too. So, embedded, planted, whatever you want to call it. If he's invested in Trump a lot, he may want an easy court way of getting, some, if not half of his valuables back. So, I think that might be part of the reason she's constantly going in for more. And, and to Putin, hey, you went to bed with Trump, you went into, a sickle relationship with him, and what's it cost you? Here, you've got Sweden and what's the other country? Two big countries that have joined now with NATO, so that hasn't worked out for you, and you've lost 500,000 people. Yes, a lot of them you didn't care about because they were either out of your jails or they were people that you paid to come and fight for you. And you don't care about a lot of your poor people that you're living your the outback here, like in uh, what's that cold area? Ah, stumbling here, Siberia. So like you've taken a bunch of village people and let them go, but it's finally the people in Peters, St. Petersburg, where you're originally from, and Moscow people are starting to go. Wait a minute, that's a lot of people. That's a lot of young men dead, and so it's a lot of mums and daughters and sisters and dads that are very upset, and rightly so. You just been throwing the bodies at the war. You don't give a shit. And that's what you get for joining up with a guy like Trump, who says, "Oh, don't worry, you'll walk in. I'll win the election, and then I'll tell Ukraine to just roll over." And then he didn't win the election. So when he didn't win the election, you had that huge force lined up on the road there, and you made a decision to go anyways. You held off to hopefully he would win, and you could just march in there and raise your flag, and Zelensky and the others that were with him would run away. America would support him and hope to bring him back one day, maybe. But what you really found out is that you got fooled in some ways, because Trump BS to you that he had it in the bag when he didn't. That's why he fought so hard for it. Everyone out there, that's why he fought so hard for it. He was supposed to win that second election, because he'd already committed to Putin that he would win it, and then he would give Putin the go ahead to take Ukraine and maybe take more of Europe after that. So he was shitting himself. That's why he would do anything, including hanging Mike Pence if he had to. He was going to do whatever it took, and therefore Putin would see that he was doing whatever it took, and not turn on him and say, let's take him out with some nuclear debris stuff that they use. So that happened. That's why he has to get back in too, by the way, so he doesn't go to jail. But also, again, if he can win, then Putin can get back on track and try to win back his people's hearts by moving on steadily. I like the fact that Europe's woken up, and Europe is saying, no, we can't trust America, because really, you got one party or the other. One party is there for NATO and there for Europe and there for the Western countries that they've been with for years. And you got another guy, if he gets in, they're totally against everybody, and they're going to go after everybody, including the people that that they ran against. They're going to put them in jail too. Like, it's amazing to me that the Democrats aren't screaming more and more and louder. There was a few reporters, but unfortunately everyone watches their own station. They need to get more and more people just saying it. Crossing the street to the neighbor and saying, "Do you realize this guy's gonna fuck us up, all of us? I know you love him, but he's not what you think he is." And then start explaining where this is headed, because I don't think any dictator is a good dictator. Well, you'd be a good dictator. No dictator is a good dictator. They want to support the friends to support them. That's the only reason they'll support their friends. They want to take anyone that's not supporting them. They want to take their assets. Their like Putin did with a lot of the oil refineries in his country. He just ran the people out or put them in jail and took over their wealth. And the oligarchs that supported him, he let them go abroad because none wanted to live there and maybe end up in jail. So they all went to different countries like England and stuff, and on their yachts, super yachts, and banked their money and supported Putin with whatever money they were raising. They gave him a big chunk, because really at the end of the day they knew it was his. And the minute he wanted, he just sent out people to kill him. A lot of them have died, and they're in hiding. They don't know what to do really. They're not loved with where they're at, and they know if they go home it's even worse. Yeah. All right, I just added about 8-9 minutes there on my wind up. All the best. Cheers. Bye.